Oh man, that comes to us courtesy of our friends at the War Zone. That was the Chicago Marathon. That's where Donald Trump wants to invade with United States military forces and started the invasion, but it was blocked by a district court and then again blocked by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's approval rating is sinking to new lows. If it was even possible to get any lower, it did. He's about negative 16 points underwater, the most unpopular president in American history, certainly modern American history at this time. I mean, everywhere he goes, he just reeks of corruption. It is America last. 20 million Americans about to get kicked off their health care while $20 billion goes to bail out Argentina. And when Donald Trump was in the Middle East, we can literally see the backroom deals take place on hot mics, like where you had the president of Indonesia, like try to whisper to Donald Trump, but it was caught on a hot mic. Hey, I've got a location for you. I'd like to meet Eric. Can I meet Eric? I mean, they're clearly talking about doing a quid pro quo personal deal. In my opinion, this is what they're doing. It's just corruption in plain view as Donald Trump throws Americans under the bus. This is what he's doing. Here, play this clip.
I would like to know, is there a region? Can I meet Eric?
Thank you.
That's what I told Harry also. We'll look for better place. Yeah, all of them. Okay.
I like that.
And then his appearance in the Middle East, I think, just had some of the strangest elements as well. Like, did you catch this where, he does the weird handshake thing and then French President Emmanuel Macron grabs his hand even harder? I mean, like, just what is even going on here? Can we play this clip for a second? But at a very serious level, I believe that our coverage here at the MeidasTouch Network about the ceasefire deal has been very important. While all of corporate media wanted to spike the football and say, peace deal, this is the greatest thing ever, I think we've been very cautious and appropriate in our reporting here in the MeidasTouch Network, because I've just been trying to talk about the undisputed facts, right? Undisputed fact number one, this is a ceasefire, not a peace. There hasn't been a peace yet. It is a ceasefire. There have been many ceasefires before, and I'm glad that there's a ceasefire. I'm glad the hostages are returned. And I also mourn, I don't even know the right words to use, the atrocities that have been committed in Palestine, the atrocities, the thousands, the tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians who have lost their lives. But right now, one of the things that we need to talk about is you have Israel's defense minister saying that right away they're going to start destroying Hamas, quote, Hamas's terror tunnels under Gaza. In other words, they're going to resume military operations. You have Hamas saying it's not going to disarm at all. You have Hamas executing individuals who they claim to be collaborators with Israel all throughout Gaza yesterday. Hamas has retaken control of the streets in Gaza. They're saying they're not going to disarm. You have Israel saying they're going to engage in military operations. Then you have Donald Trump saying that he doesn't know what happens next. He was asked about a two-state solution. He said, I don't know. We'll just have to let the people who did the deal determine it. Didn't you do the deal? So what happens with phase two? What happens after this initial meeting where Donald Trump makes the announcement, shouldn't we approach this with humility, with cautiousness, with the attention it deserves versus acting like this is a done deal? I mean, we saw the streets yesterday of Gaza. I mean, there were some really, really violent scenes, executions taking place. I'm not even going to, obviously can't show the clips, but Hamas reasserted control and saying it's not going to disarm. Now, Donald Trump used this bizarre appearance yesterday in the Middle East while there's a government shutdown in the United States, and he kept on praising Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin's puppet. Now, Orban exclusively gets his oil from Vladimir Putin. Orban is expected to lose the next election, which is a big deal because Orban's been a cancer on the European Union. That's perhaps an understatement. He's been trying to destroy the EU from within. So our allies in Europe, our ally in the UK and elsewhere do not want Viktor Orban to win this next election. But Donald Trump says, I'm the only one that matters. Me. This is what he literally says. I'm the only one that matters. Look how uncomfortable the people are behind him. Play this clip.
We have Hungary. Oh, Victor, where is Victor? Victor. We love Victor. Victor, I call him. You know, I put the little accent on it. You are fantastic, all right? I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm the only one that matters. You are fantastic. He's a great leader. I endorsed him the last election he had, and he won by 28 points. So you're going to do even better this time. You have another election. And you're going to do great, and we appreciate it, and we're behind you 100%. That's Hungary.
And you know how Donald Trump likes to say, I did 7 peace deals or 8 peace deals, and he cites like Congo as one of them. Well, 19 civilians were killed by an ISIS-related group in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that's happening on a frequent basis. There's not peace in the Congo right now. Donald Trump didn't stop the war between India and Pakistan, and my hope is that peace holds in Gaza, but my expectations are to be very cautious here because we know the history of this region. And when Donald Trump has refused to say that there should be a 2-state solution with a free Palestine, I'm not sure that there is a plan for what comes next. And that's always the problem with Trump. What happens next after you make an announcement? Because it seems all he knows how to make historically and in the present is fraud. So finally, the MeidasTouch Network's been pushing this point. You know, for months, I've been screaming off the rooftops about Donald Trump keeps lying about $17 trillion that he's bringing in. I said, this is a big deal because Americans are getting kicked off their health care. Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, suffering the psychological torture of doing that. Americans are suffering. Prices are rising right now. And if Trump says he's brought in $17 trillion, now yesterday he said $18 trillion, well, that should be able to help Americans, certainly be able to extend the ACA subsidies, but it's all a fake number. The CNN headline, Trump's $17 trillion investment figure is fiction. You think? And meanwhile, you have China saying yesterday that they will fight the trade war against the United States until the very end. You know that China put on serious export controls on REEs, rare earth elements or rare earth materials that are integral to lots of things that are being produced here in the United States. They continue to refuse to take in any of like our farm produce from soybean farmers, bankrupting our farmers here. Trump has gotten completely outmaneuvered, and the United States is no longer even publishing economic data right now. From some of the data that we've seen, we have the worst job market in recent history, the worst housing market in recent history. Inflation continues to surge, but the government's no longer even publishing any of the economic data. Meanwhile, you have Pete Hegseth, former Fox News Weekend host, who now, for whatever reason, is the head of the Department of Defense. He unlawfully refers to himself as the Department of War. He goes, Pentagon access is a privilege, not a right. So here at the Department of War, press credentialing for dummies. Press no longer roams free. Press must wear visible badges. Credentialed press no longer permitted to solicit criminal acts. Done. Pentagon has same rules as every U.S. military installation. And one of the things that he's making the press sign is that any of their reports require his vetting first if they want to step foot inside the Pentagon. So the only news network as of this recording that has signed on to Pete Hegseth's requirement that the Department of Defense be able to vet the reports of reporters before it's published is OAN, but you'll see the Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, AP, Reuters, Atlantic, CNN, NPR, The Guardian, Newsmax, even the Washington Times, Washington Examiner, Task and Purpose, Breaking Defense, Defense One have all said they're not signing the pledge to, or the contract to allow the Defense Department to look over their reporting, and they will now be banned from the Pentagon. That's our ridiculous kakistocracy authoritarian regime. Oh, this was part of Donald Trump's meetings in the Middle East yesterday. The United Arab Emirates delegation was there. You'll recall the UAE gave Donald Trump's family business $2 billion. That World Liberty Financial took in, I believe, about $2 billion from the UAE. And then at the same time, the United States government gave the UAE special access to our semiconductor technology, which the UAE would then be able to transfer to China, and then undercut our leverage with the export controls that China is putting on the United States, as well as China not buying our produce from American farmers. We just give up our semiconductor chip technology to China very, very easily via the UAE and also just via NVIDIA, which the Trump regime said, well, if we can take what it was like 20% of your exports of the semiconductor chips to China, you're able to send your chips to China, which again gave up like one of the biggest pieces of leverage the United States had over China, which is our access to semiconductor chips, which now China is able to access and replicate, because that's one of the things they do very good anyway. Here's what happened when Trump met the delegation from the UAE. Trump brags about how much money they have, the billions of dollars that they have. You got a lot of cash. You've got a lot of cash. And again, the American people are seeing this corruption in plain view. Let's play this clip.
A lot of cash. A lot of unlimited cash.
Should not be a surprise to you that the latest reporting by Reuters, U.S. companies and consumers are bearing the brunt of the country's new import tariffs. Early indications show contradicting assertions by Trump and complicating the Federal Reserve's fight against inflation. The article was called "How the United States is Eating Trump's Tariffs," and as Governor Newsom posts, great work, Donald Trump. Hiring is at its lowest level since 2009 per CNBC, although our government's not publishing data. One other point I want to make as well, you know how the Trump regime has said that it would be paying for immigrants to self-deport, that they would give these immigrants $1,000 if they left the country voluntarily. Well, ProPublica interviewed at least a dozen of immigrants who tried to take Donald Trump off on this offer. And guess what? Trump did not pay him the $1,000 exit bonuses, and they're still here in the United States when they tried to self-deport and say, "Can I get the $1,000?" And then Trump would say, "Nope, sorry, nothing to do there." Let me just show you this moment from Trump's trip to the Middle East while he was in Egypt. Watch Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni as Pakistan's leader tries to, basically get on Trump's good graces as America has harmed its relationship with India. Pakistan has moved in with embarrassing flattery like this. Here, play this clip.
I would say that Pakistan had nominated President Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize for his outstanding, extraordinary contributions to first stop war between India and Pakistan, and then achieve ceasefire along with his very wonderful team. And today, again, I would like to nominate this great president for Nobel Peace Prize.
Then a story that's a very big deal that deserves more attention, as Jacob Shamsian writes. The Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that Ghislaine Maxwell had a meeting with an unknown person in her new prison camp, the minimum security facility in Texas, Camp Bryan, Texas. The entire prison facility had to go on lockdown so that Ghislaine can have these secret private meetings. Inmates say that she gets unusually favorable treatment by the prison. Remember, she shouldn't even be in this prison in the first place because she's a convicted child sex trafficker. She belongs to rot in the Tallahassee prison where she belongs for 20 plus years, but she was moved to this facility by Donald Trump, who got the Bureau of Prisons to give her an exemption the first time this has ever happened, because Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans, while the government shutdown is taking place, is covering up for a child pedo sex trafficking ring, and they're refusing to release the Epstein files, which is one of the main reasons for the government shutdown, in addition to the fact that Donald Trump hates the government and wants to rip away your healthcare. We've got a lot of reports this morning, so I'll be brief on this one. Hit subscribe. Make sure you start every 90 minutes. I'm dropping new reports today, as I always do. We appreciate you. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million and have a wonderful day.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.